Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar today on the topic Business Shouldn't Stop. It's the fifth week here of the Movement Control Order, and I hope everyone is doing fine while working from home. Well, and just a reminder here, if you have any questions throughout, please post it in the Q&A column and we will address it towards the end of the session. Before we move into the key strategies, let me briefly introduce ourselves, VLAN Asia, to you. In short, we are a technology concierge. Why do we call ourselves like that? Because many of our customers don't know what they want. We help them to figure out what they need and what they want first, then we help them to improve their company with technology. Our one-liner is fulfilling our customers' business potential through technology. Of the XaaS subscription model, we provide everything as a service. We are a cloud service provider, partnering with Zendesk, which is a cloud service desk, O365, which is the Microsoft Productivity Suite, Azure, providing infrastructure or servers as a service, and Xero, that provides cloud accounting as a service. Besides, we also provide cybersecurity solutions to protect our customers' data. There's a Silicon Valley mantra that says, we eat our own dog food, which means we consume our products and services. If we think it's not good enough for our own consumption, we don't sell it. We have 7 years in business with 25 team members in our company, and we're based in Glomac, Damansara. Alright, so if you're looking for innovative business strategies, useful tools, and topics to talk about to your customers, then yes, you're at the right place. As we all know, MCO has been changing the way businesses run drastically, and everyone has to be adaptive and react quick in order to survive. Here are some common questions from many businesses now. How to survive a recession? How to prepare my team for corporate innovation now? How to reach out to more customers? And what are the tools that really help? First of all is to run constant webinars. You might have noticed that many companies are actively hosting online webinars during this lockdown period. We are also adopting this strategy and we love the outcome. Constant webinars enforce continuous engagement with your audiences and customers as you create useful messages during the sharing sessions. Microsoft Streams and Teams are amazing collaborative tools to help you host these online events smoothly. As you host more of these webinars and events, you'll need to create forms and surveys to gather feedbacks. From event registration to gathering feedbacks after the events, these forms and surveys are important for you to be able to understand your attendees' expectations and thus improve the quality of your activities that you organize in the future. This step is also important for you to immediately get back all the lists so you don't lose any of them. Microsoft Forms helps you to simplify the process for you to worry less and also focus more on the preparation of your events. Next, you can prepare newsletters for further engagement after you're on webinars. Here's an example of a newsletter for Stephen Hawking. Newsletters are useful to keep your partners and customers engaged as you share more in-depth and professional knowledge after the webinar. The newsletter that I'm showing here was created by using Microsoft Suite, simple and sweet. Well, all these 3 strategies require one very important thing: creating valuable contents. Always create original contents as it tends to draw more attention and interest. Educate your audience and customers so that they tend to stick around with your brand apart from just the good solutions and products that you offer. You may also publish ebooks to step up the game. Moving on, digital marketing is extremely crucial for exposure and brand awareness now. As everyone is working online, so you ought to invest more time and effort in creative online marketing. Always keep your updates aligned to your customers' interests so you are always able to stay relevant. So now you know you need to run constant webinars, create forms and surveys so you don't lose any leads, create valuable contents and prepare newsletters. But what if your company is still facing resource-dependent issues to kickstart all these initiatives? Very simple. Automate these processes using Power Automate. By automating such processes, you're able to connect the attendees, to continue engage with your leads after the events, easily by automatically sending post-webinar materials. So this automation can also help to automate replies and responses to your webinar registrars, which will significantly reduce your workload and time spent on manually sending out such emails. Here's an example of the automation process generated by using Power Automate with just a few simple clicks. So now, I'll pass on the floor to my colleague Surin to continue the presentation and bring you further into the processes.
Thank you, Florence. Let me just share my screen. Okay, so good evening, everyone. Like what my colleague Florence mentioned earlier, I think she have covered what are the things that the organizations can do in continuously trying to engage the customers during this kind of period, right? So, but then just to let you know, she have shown what is it required, and I'm going to show that how it's being done. So basically, like what she mentioned, running constant webinars definitely will be very fruitful, especially during this kind of lockdown period. So one of the things that we use, particularly in VLAN as a best practice, is we try to use a tool what we call as Microsoft Stream. Okay, basically running this webinar is definitely similar to what you're observing now. And it helps you to broadcast your presentation contents and run video conferencing. But the ultimate goal here is to stay noisy and yet busy. So how we do this is we use this Microsoft Stream. So I'm going to take you through a simple video, just a short video on how we log into this Microsoft Stream, and with simple 3 to 4 steps, how we can create this live event entirely. So this is how it's being done. You log into office.com and then you go to Microsoft Stream. You just click on the stream icon. You go there and you just create. You click on the live event. That's it. And then you just have to give the particular event a name. So you can put it there as a webinar, how to run live event, or how to create live event. Okay, of course you can put the name. And of course, you want to put a description as well. It could be an awareness session. It could be a training session. On the right corner, you can also even try to upload the image. But in this example, I choose to not to put the image, but you can put any image relevant to the topic. You can set a specific date and time. So for this example, I choose, let's say, assuming MCO is going to over by April, I put there 5th of May. We're going to have this event. Right, it's going to start at 8:30 and finish at 9:30, and I'm going to set to whom that I want to share this out, whether it's the people within my organization or external people outside of the organization and things like that. And on top of that, I can also set a permission accordingly, and that's it. You just have to publish it and you're ready for the live event, as simple as that. So this is how we are doing the live webinars and live event on a weekly basis. But to touch the point that Florence mentioned is that yes, you're running webinars, you have people attending the webinars, but how do you capture their registration? And how do you capture their interest, whether they have certain feedbacks of your topics, and how can you improvise your webinars accordingly along the way, right? So that is something that can be done using a tool what we call as Microsoft Form. This is the template that you are seeing in the screen right at the moment. I'm going to take you through to an example of how can we create a survey form for a webinar that we are running in, right? So let's say I'm going to go to Microsoft Forms and I'm planning for a webinar. So this is how I can create a survey form to gauge the interest or feedbacks for the webinar. So this is the Microsoft form. So it's similar to Google Form. So for most of you that have been using for Google Form, it's almost the same, right? So of course you can, write the questions that whatever that you want. So for this example, I said, do you like our webinar? You can put an option, yes, no. Okay. If you notice on the right corner down there, there's a multiple answers or required. So you can make this as a required. Second question is, I wanted to know how people rate our event. So I put there rating of our event. So there is a star button over there. You can also have a thumbs view, right? Then I can put a required as a required field so that I really get the response from the customer. Okay, this is one example of how you can create this. Okay, the next part is I need to give a name for the form that I created. So this is the example. So I'm giving the just change the untitled. Let's say I just put as an example of a survey, right? It's just a survey. So I already have the question. I put the form. Now I'm going to show how does it look like in a computer view and also mobile view. So this is also mobile compatible, okay, and also in mobile view. Now I'm going to show how we can share this particular survey out. So as you notice in previous webinars, for those of you joined, you can see at the end of the slide, even for today's slide, you can see there is a QR code. So this QR code is populated using this Microsoft form. And in fact, for those of you not able to provide the feedback through QR code, we can actually copy this link and send it out to you via email, right? Because we can gather all your information in the Microsoft forms and we will use the details to send out this email, right? This is how you can use Microsoft Forms to gather feedback based on the webinar attendees. The next part that I'm going to show is the point that Florence touched on, create valuable content for your organization and try to send out this newsletters as an information after your event or even before event, all right? So because running online webinars might not be necessary for every week if let's say your organization doesn't need to, but instead, you can also try to send out these newsletters to keep them engaged, to keep all your prospects and customers engaged with whatever information that you want to share, right? So how do we do this using another app of Office 365, which we call as Microsoft Sway? So you just have to log into the portal and click on Microsoft Sway. As an example, you can see there's a lot of template over there, internal newsletter, external newsletter, how-to, business presentation, and so on. Let's say we just choose a blank template of Microsoft Sway, right? And then since it's blank, you can't see the design. So what you need to do is you need to go back to the storyline, click on the storyline, and then you click on the background. Let's say I decided to choose a background for this template. Let's say as an example, I choose the color. You can choose any color that you want anyway. So I just add it. And then of course, here I just put as an example title. Of course, you can put any title that you want. So the thing will appear here. So as and when you write the storyline, you can view how the presentation going to be, how the actual newsletter going to be. So you can put here story design, or you can rename it anything that you want according to your organization need, right? So this is how the thing is being done in the Microsoft Way, and then I'll show you the further part of that where you can write detailed storyline. So now you have the header, and then you can actually add more templates down there where you can have more content section. Okay, so you can write down the content. Okay, for that content also you can find out a template. Let's say I choose external newsletter template. So it's open up like this, and I have entire content even for me to run an event. So for example, for upcoming event, what content you should have? What is the content? What is the content of the event? Where you're going to hold it, right? When you're going to do it? In fact, you can put a contact us details of your company name, address, phone number, so on and so forth. So this is a full template that you can have by using this external newsletter. So the next step going to show you that a result of having a proper content creation, right? So as you've seen in the example that my colleague Florence shown earlier, So let's say we just create this like a template saying that, oh, live event, right? Live event of Sway. And then you put all the necessary details down there. So the end result that we're going to achieve or we're going to see as an example is something that what you have observed in Stephen Hawking's. And besides, please take note that this can be shared in your social platform, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and you can also assign who can actually edit, who can actually view this particular whole example, right? And this is the real end result of Stephen Hawking's storyline or newsletter. So you can scroll to the right, you can view his career, personal life, and so on and so forth. So this is the actual outcome that you're going to see by using Microsoft Sway to build this whole content of your own for your organization. This is mainly to make sure that after you carry out webinars and things like that, you keep trying to engage back the customers by making them try to remember you. In the best way that we believe in terms of marketing is the customer remembers you more by your brand, right? By your brand and also your content. So these are the two essential things that we always believe that the organization will look upon, especially from your customer's perspective. So that's the whole purpose of Microsoft Sway as well. So the next part is I'm going to recap of what you have observed so that we still is trying to setting the same tone that you have set in your mind along with the presentation. So you have observed that you need to run constant webinars for your organization. You need to make sure that you create forms so that you can collate prospects information, prospects interest, and prospects feedback, right? And ultimately, you don't want to lose any single lead. And you have listened on how you can prepare a newsletter using Microsoft Sway. And last but not least, content. Own your own contents, keep them updated, aligning to your customers' interests. And of course, you can use this newsletter and publish it as an ebook, right? But the catch here is now in this kind of period of MCO where you have resource limitations, how can you automate some of these processes? So this is how, and this is what I'm going to show through automate these processes using Power Automate, right? So basically, Power Automate is an app within Office 365. It's pretty cool. You're going to see that, let's say I'm giving you a scenario now. We're running a webinar, and then we already created a form just now. The form, if you all recall, the name of the form that I given just now is survey. Let's see how can I collect the information that has been given by the customers of the webinar and record it in the Microsoft Forms and automate a reply back to the responder by just using a simple logic that I'm going to create. This is something that we're going to create, right? So the first step, you go to this Power Automate. You open the Power Automate, you want to see something like this. You have your entire business flows, automated flow, instant flow, schedule flow, blah, blah, blah. And then you have this Microsoft form. So what you're going to do is I'm going to automate the process that related to Microsoft form. So I click on Microsoft form. It opens up this page. This is where you can observe under Microsoft form, you can actually trigger an event. So let's say I want to, for this example, I want to say that I want to process the details of the form. And based on that, I want to email back to the responder. So this is what I'm going to choose, form processing to email and SharePoint. Let's say I click on that. The next part of it, you're going to observe. Once I click on that, this page is what you're going to see. Okay, the form going to look like this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to automate a process here. I click the form that I created just now, which is survey. I click on that. I choose what I'm going to do. I want to choose that, okay, let's choose the form again. And I want to use the responses of that are recorded in the form. I want to send email out. And I want to send email out to responders email. Okay. And I put here, thank you for joining our webinar or for joining our event. You can write whatever you want according to your organization need. Then I said, good job, please come again. All right. And then I need to address to where I want to store the information that I'm going to get. So I can choose any SharePoint that I've created before. And let's say I click on save, right? Pop up. that's where the error message comes that I didn't complete one action. And that action, if you notice in the red color button there, list name is required. So this is how the system itself will detect if you miss an important flow. And once you complete that, that's it. You just have to click on save, and any responses that you're getting for your customers to the survey form, it will auto reply to the responder. So this is how, for those of you attending today's event of VLAN, if you all notice, the moment you click on the link and it goes to a form and then you fill up the details, all of you receive an automated responses within a split second. So this is how we have done internally as well using this Power Automate. So I just want to relate to what I show and to what you have observed as well before you joining this webinar. All right. So I think just to summarize, you have observed what you need to do as an organization and how you can leverage on the tools to actually achieve that objective. So just a call to action, right? So make sure that you assess your marketing strategy, create and own if you don't have one. That's the keyword, right? Please have a thought of, let's be a content creator and not just a content observer or content absorber, right? So please be a content creator. And then let's do a lot of automation, not to say a lot of automation, but automate whatever processes that is necessary and brings efficient for your organization. And by doing that, the third point is that's how you can optimize resources. Because often we heard that a lot of organization, the main pain point at this moment is that because they are not able to access the information back to their office environment, they had to rely highly on resources, on manpower. So change the perspective of being more of a resource dependent rather, to more of a system dependent. So this is what we're trying to advise these organizations during, especially how a business can run during this MCO and still trying to engage the customers. So I believe that you have observed the process and how it's being done and the message. So the last part is, ta-da, I think the whole purpose of us running this event is as well, like I said, we have shown you how to create a form and QR code, right? So this is the time that we wanted to do that for us as well, and make sure that please provide your feedback accordingly, because according to your feedback, this is something that we want to take back and assess what kind of topics that we want to give back to the prospects and customers as well, and also for the organization. So this is how we want to gather the feedback of yours for these webinars, so that we can plan for our future webinars as well. So drop us a note, and this is the QR code. And I believe some of you have listed out some of the questions in the questionnaire session, Q&A session. So we will just take on the few questions that is written there. So yep, that's all. Thank you from me and Florence. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Surin. Thanks, Florence. Now is the Q&A section. If anybody has questions that you'd like to ask Surin or Florence, you can drop them out in the Q&A section, which is on your right-hand side of the screen. There is one question, probably I missed out, is Microsoft Forms free or need to purchase? If purchased, what's the difference with Google Forms? That's one question. Surin, probably you want to answer that?
Yeah, so like I said, Microsoft Form and Google Form, the functionality is same. But I think that the point here that we have to look at is why you use Microsoft Form, the whole objective of it. So if you look at the whole flow of today's presentation is, we are not telling your organization can use Microsoft Form. We are trying to educate that using Microsoft Form is one of the key components that can be automated and can be easily automated for your overall process flow in order for you to achieve the objective that you wanted to achieve. So for example, your objective is, I want to make sure that I constantly engage customers during this period, right? Aligning to our topic today. So if you want to achieve that, so what are the steps that you need to do? Okay, you need to figure out how can I run a webinar, how can I create a newsletter, and once the content is sent to the customer, how can I collect the feedback of what I've done? So I use this Microsoft form. It's just one of the component. It's just one part of this whole objective that we're looking at. So that is the whole purpose of us showing the Microsoft form. But on the other hand, we also try to emphasize that the Microsoft Forms is definitely under the paid version, because the forms can be integrated with the rest of the apps within Office 365. It's not just about Microsoft Forms. It's to be integrated, and it stands as a collaborative platform. That's the whole idea of Office 365. So 365 days, you are collaborating with all the apps that is available under single platform, which we call as Office 365. So that's the whole idea of Office 365. Yeah, I hope I answered that. And I see there's another question.
Surin, so you're saying that if we have subscribed to Office 365, all the apps like Power Automate, Forms, they're all under the subscription, it's free, or do we need to pay extra for it?
No, there's no extra payment for that particular app. It's part of the Office 365 subscription. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So next question. If I do a live event using Microsoft Teams or Stream, the whole organization will be able to view. Is that correct?
This is basically you running a Microsoft Stream or Team. You create a live event, right? So if you notice in the example just now I mentioned, there is a group that you can set or a channel that you can set. So that will allow whether you just want a targeted group to join this live event, or you want it to be allowed to external group. So you can set the audience accordingly. It's not something that okay, the moment you creating, for example, now we are creating from VLAN, it's not necessary the entire organization can view. We can create and assign only selective people that we want to be part of this live event, or we can allow this to be accessed by anywhere. That's why those people that registered for this event, you all get a link. So the link allows you to actually join. And the best part is, if let's say you allow this to external people, there's no limitation. There's close to no limitation, because generally it says that they allow 10,000 plus of people that can access this webinar. But that means in our scale here, there's no limitation, right? So yeah.
So Surin, so you're saying that if you're running, we need to send an invite to people to actually join, and if you're doing a meeting, as in like a live meeting with videos, that is only for people who are invited, is it?
Yes, so definitely this is by invitation. So the webinar link has to be invited for who wants to attend. Yes.
So it's not open to everyone unless you're invited, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So the next question is, when you do all this, the links, can it be linked up to the social media platform?
Okay, so that is something, a subject to be discussed with the respective social media platforms, because so generally there's also a comparison made that there's a StreamYard out there. There is few platforms out there where they allow Facebook Live as well to be integrated. So as far as Microsoft Stream and Team is concerned, there is a permission that is required from the Facebook platform to be allowed as a live event. So this is something that Microsoft Malaysia have also been checking around. So there's no like, okay, you create a live event, immediately you can connect to Facebook. There's no direct out of the box connection kind of thing. It doesn't work like a StreamYard if you're doing a comparison with what can be done out there. So how does it work is, because this is a more of a corporate use of a live stream, it has to be sent for approval and review from the social media respective platforms.
So what you're saying is that Microsoft Teams cares a lot about security and
exactly.
data, right?
Exactly.
Okay, that's basically all the questions we have. Thank you so much, Surin and Florence, for your presentation, and thank you for everyone. Thanks to everyone for attending it as well. We'll see you next week for the other webinars as well. We have one coming up on this Tuesday, is by Mark. If you're interested, we will send you the links as well. You can join in. And on Thursday, we have another one as well. It's on Zero, that's for accounting. So stay tuned for invites, guys. Thank you so much.